Oh, hang on. We're getting told to hurry up. So it's supposed to start at 5:30, but we got distracted. So anyway, Steve, for the recordings, welcome to Global Wealth Club. I just got to double check what this one's called. Legally protecting your wealth and assets to secure your financial future webinar. We got the hostess with the mostess. We got Stephen Petith on the other camera, baby faced, all nice, cleanly shaven like I am. So, Steve, welcome to the show. How you been?
Man, I'm great. I'm fantastic.
It's so weird seeing you in the same building like week in, week out.
I know, it's doing people's head in.
What you don't have to do is just move the camera to the other side, so it's looking to a different part of the house, and you can go, oh, no, I'm in a different hotel. No. So let's get straight into it.
I nearly did it from the office tonight, and then I thought, no, I can't be stuffed. So I come home and I actually cooked. You know, sometimes that does happen. Yeah.
I'm not saying nothing because Luan's in that room just there. And so I'm not going to say, yeah, I'll cook all the time, because that's just not true. And she'll catch me out on that one every single time. So I do know how to cook, but I just can't be bothered. It's one of those things. I can do it. I'm an okay cook. I just hate it with a passion. I can't stand cooking. It just annoys the shit out of me. So anyway, let's get into it. So obviously this is about, we had the event on the weekend. We couldn't make it personally because of a few family issues going on. But how did it go? How did the event on the weekend file out?
Quite well. There was a heap of people on board. We got people into a program. I think we've got 15 people that have joined us in the Secure Your Wealth program. And we'll be helping those people secure their wealth and design their plan B and get that going. Have their tailored plan B. I'm busily working around on getting all the bits and pieces ready to start the program. We'll probably start the program at the end of the month. End of the month. Yeah. We'll get rolling and get people all set up and away we go. So,
fantastic. So just for the people who have gone to these sort of events before and they're like, oh, why do I need to go again? It's always good to do a recap or a refresher. For those who have been with GWC for a while, I used to do a lot of editing for them, and I used to go to the events, and obviously you'd learn certain things at the events, but when you're editing it and you're listening to it for a second time, you pick up all these other little things that you didn't quite understand on the day. So even if you've been to events like this before, it's always good to go again, because things change, legislation changes, and everything changes as you go. So I highly recommend people do re-attend to these events, even if you have done them before. And Aiden's great to hear that it had a really good energy to it. I always find Warren, when he gets on the mic, it just, there's something special about Warren presenting things. So and also Tony, yes, there is a huge amount of resource and material that goes through by them, and it is next to impossible to pick everything up in one run. So I do highly recommend, if you get a chance, watch the replays or go to future events as well. So let's get straight into the actual talking points for tonight. I don't know if they got sent to you. It'll be a bit of a mixed bag for you, Steve. So the first one is learning the importance of legally protecting your wealth and assets to secure your financial future. So that was a big influence on the weekend's event. What's the biggest takeaway from the weekend in that regards, do you think there was?
Stick to the rules and play the game, as the wealthy do. The wealthy don't engage in this, the sovereign citizen movement, and they don't have these private unregistered foundations, and they're not looking for silly tax loopholes. And so, from a legal's perspective, play the game as it's meant to be, right? Set if you're doing trust, set your trust up right. If you're doing a foundation, charity, set that up right, and operate it right. Right. This is the biggest thing that I find the biggest mistake is people get led down the path of promoters talking about there's this special trust from Europe and it was 1860 and all this sort of shit. It's fucking bullshit. There's no such thing, right? It's just someone promoting bullshit. Trust law is pretty common, right? There's you've pretty much got discretionary style trusts or unit trusts, right? So discretionary trust means that the trustee has the right to distribute how they want. Unit trust means everyone has a similar unit, but you can actually design trusts in all your way. You've got all of these people come up with irrevocable, revocable, testimony, and all this sort of shit. It's really just how you design it, how you sit down. A trust is a deed, right? And a deed is drafted how you sit down with your lawyer or your estate planner and draft it. So you get all the terms and conditions and everything else in one, how the trustee can operate, what the trustee can do. Is there fixed distributions to beneficiaries? Can you add beneficiaries? Can you change beneficiaries? Can you change trustees? All these bits and pieces, it is just drafting. It's just legal drafting. All the rest of it is semantic bullshit. And it's normally drafted by people who are trying to sell you an overpriced something, right? What I've learned in this world is lawyers lawyers tend to make stuff more complicated. So then people go out there and create a productized version of something, rather than saying, well, this is really what I want, right? And 9 times out of 10, all people really want is a family trust that has different pieces modified in the when it comes to beneficiaries. You may want to change different things around how the trustee can operate, who the trustee can be. There's all that sort of stuff. But there's nothing hard about it. It's just sitting down and drafting it with the right professional. Same with the constitution of a company, right? You can use the replaceable rules or you can draft your own constitution. When we're setting up foundations, and I've just set up three in the last 6 weeks for international charities that are moving to Australia. So you're working with their lawyers, and all we did is we reconstituted a constitution. So we just got the company constitution, listed out the objectives, listed out what the directors can do, listed out, all the different pieces the company can do. Can it act as a trustee? Can it not? One of the foundations we set up was specifically cannot act as trustee. It is just there to do, boom, this, just to do this objective. Another one was broad, because the parent organisation out of the Netherlands, it wanted all these different pieces put in. It wanted it to be able to act as a trustee, wanted it to be able to take overseas funds, wanted to be able to support different causes at the discretion of the council, or they call it a council, but it's just the directors. So there's all these different things, and you just got to sit down and do it. So that's the biggest thing that I find with protecting your wealth is don't overcomplicate it. Don't get caught up in all the bullshit, and just do it how the law is. It's simple. You don't have to go outside. There is so much you can do with inside the law, and you're not going to raise red flags. You're not going to have people coming after you, right? It's simple, right? You don't see the wealthy running around trying all these schemes.
Yeah,
they just don't.
I know when we set up ours, one of the first things that we got told to do is to, first of all, make sure you knew exactly where you currently were, so you knew how to migrate from where you were to where you wanted to go. And the second thing they said is make sure you know exactly, when you set it up, what the role of the foundation or the structure is that you're hoping to achieve. And so I found that was really, really important. So taking all of those into consideration, especially what's going on the political side of things, what do you think is one of the biggest problems, problems or probably the important things to set yourself up for? You kind of covered it already, but in today's climate, today's economical climate, because it has changed drastically since all the COVID restrictions have started being lifting up. So I'm noticing the government is they're trying to touch everything. They're trying to massage everything to make things easier for them. So what would be the most important thing to protect your assets that you think is important now to be focusing on?
It's just the basics, right? Separate ownership from control. It's as simple as that. You use trusts, use companies, and sometimes all you need is a company, right? Depending on what you're trying to do, what you're trying to do. So keep it simple. Don't go overcomplicated.
Okay.
One of the other things that we look at as well is understand where you are today, but have an end in mind as well, and then sometimes work backwards. So I've got a client I'm working with at the moment where he's got a plan to list his company in the next 5 years. All right. So we're setting everything up. Excuse me. We're setting everything up for him now, so that when that happens, he's going to get the right capital gains event. He's not going to get screwed on capital gains, right? And he's got people he's got to look after overseas because he's an immigrant. And so we've got to set up the right structure to allow that stuff to flow through. So there's all these things that take into consideration.
Okay. It's really interesting you're talking about how there's a lot of immigrants, you're setting out foundations for immigrants and people overseas, because one of the other talking points for tonight was actually based around offshore investments, foundation structures offshore. So especially around the offshore side of things, obviously a lot of people are coming to Australia. Do you think it's a good idea for a lot more Australians to be looking offshore for investments rather than just locally based?
100%. 100%. The people that are moving here are normally moving from developing nations, and that they're coming here because it's really good. One of the biggest things I do find is most of them tend to move back. Right. I've worked with several expat clients out of Singapore in the last 4 or 5 years that used to be Australians. Indians, Sri Lankans, Pakistanis that all moved to Australia and then went, Australia's shit. And then we had to unravel everything and move them back overseas to a new jurisdiction. Half the time we moved them to Singapore because Singapore is very connected with the subcontinent, and then into other places in Asia because they're doing a lot of business and stuff in Asia. Australia, I look at it this way. So Australia is 1.5% of the world's GDP. 1.5. We're pissant in the world. And this is why I laugh when any politician think that they're actually fucking anything on the world stage. No one gives a fuck about Australia. If we didn't have iron ore and coal, no one would care. Right? A fucking convict settlement, who gives a fuck? Because they're definitely not coming here for our intellectual politicians, that's for sure. The opportunities outside of Australia means there's 98% of the world's GDP outside of Australia. 50% of the world's GDP now is in Asia. China, Russia, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Vietnam, Sri Lanka is pretty much 50% of the world's GDP. And growing. It's the fastest region, and it's right on our doorstep. And most Australians don't even look at it. Right? There's some great places to live and work all through Asia. That you can, like Saudi Arabia at the moment. I've got 2 friends, and both live in the Middle East. They both live in Dubai, but they work in Saudi. One guy's getting paid nearly $2.5 million a year as a project manager. Just fucking stupid money, right? And that's US. That's US dollars.
So it's about 10 million Australian.
Oh, about 155 billion. The way I'm going, but so there is big opportunities for these guys, and he will never come back to Australia. He's already said, him and his wife have got a bolt hole in I think it's the Seychelles or Mauritius. No, Seychelles. And they love it there. So they're just never coming back to Australia. They said there is no opportunity like they get over there. and she runs a successful online store. Not sure what she sells. Fucking, it'll be something woo woo. She's a bit like that, but there's just more opportunity in some of these places outside Australia. The rules are different, right? In Australia, you get treated like a second-rate citizen and a criminal, but overseas, fucking they dote on you, right? Especially when you're an expat in some of these countries, because they want your dollar. One of the things I miss about living in Asia is I miss staff. You know, before COVID and before I got rid of my house, well, I didn't get rid of it. I subleased it to friends in Bangkok. I had 5 staff to look after my house, and those 5 staff, you pretty much end up, supporting the whole families of all that. But they'll do shitloads for you, and the cost is not a great deal. What you'd pay in tax here, you can spend that sort of money on a better place to live, on better food. I used to, she was fantastic. She always did the shopping, right? And she'd go out, she'd take, I'd say, $100 US, go out shopping, and come back with, a full pig and more vegetables and fruits and shit like that you can fucking fall over, fish and everything. We're here, you couldn't get a pig's leg for $100, right? And so, and because she's local, you're not going to get the white man tax. But hey, that's part of living in Asia. The extra 20%, hey, 20% white man tax. So what? But you can have a better style, better living, better opportunities. You meet different people, interesting people from all over the world. If you've got your head on a swivel and you're paying attention, you can pick up opportunities and matching opportunities everywhere.
Okay. We do have, and I'm really excited to see this. Looks like we got a new guy in the chat as well. So Warwick, welcome to GWC. So he was saying that it's simple when you know the parameters of the law. As a new customer, it's a learning curve. So I just want to expand on that one as well, especially for people who are fresh to looking at investing overseas, or even moving what assets they have in Australia to offshore. What's some of the really most important techniques that they can use? So the first one I can think of straight off the bat is it's really hard to know everything. So it's really important to know who to reach out to, especially in regards to accountants, lawyers, and financial planners. Finding good experts in that field is a must. So how would you expand on that one, Steve?
Yeah, I look at that as Warwick, you're probably still stuck in the matrix world of you have to know, and what I tend to find is I don't have to know. I don't have to know everything. I just find the right people that do, and then I leverage their knowledge, their experience, their 10,000 hours to find something. There's 194 UN classified countries, 207 countries in the world all up. 208, I think, now because of South Sudan. And you can't know the laws on everything. But I've got a network around the world. If I need to know something, I can jump on the phone, send a text message, send an email, reach out to someone on LinkedIn, and I can find the right information. Right? And then use that information to then build the next strategy. So it's not about having to know all the parameters. It's about knowing what you want, right? And what you're trying to achieve. What's the end goal, right? Know your why in this world. And what the biggest thing at school is everyone's conditioned to be a slave. Everyone's conditioned when you go through school, go through uni. I'd never let kids go to university. I think that is, it's just horrible shit to send kids through university. Unless they're at a top university and you're doing it so they can build great networks. But to actually get an education is fucking stupid, unless you're going to be a neuroscience scientist or a physicist, or I think I worked out once. I think there's only about 12 degrees that are actually worthwhile. All the rest of them are just woo-woo shit, right? And so yeah, so that's it. So I'll get off topic, but it's finding the right people that can help you get to where you want to go. But at the end of the day, you need to have a solid understanding of where you're going to go. You're the captain of your ship. A captain doesn't tie the ship up. The captain doesn't fix the engines. The captain doesn't do the navigating. He has a team that does that. And that is what took me ages after coming out of the military, and then joining family business, because with family business you tend to want to try and do it all yourself. And when I worked out that the best thing to do is you be your own general and have really good majors and colonels and lieutenants and all that around you, you get a shitload more done than trying to do it yourself. Even when I've got investments and stuff like that, the investments that grind slowly are the ones where I don't have the right team with me, and you've just got to build that team. So that's pretty much what it is. It's not you having to know everything, because you can't. It's a near on impossibility. But you need to know the people to connect with to get the right answers. And that's why in my world I spend 60 to 70% of my entire time networking and creating relationships. So that when questions come through, like I had one today, a guy just sent me a message and say, "Hey, I'm looking for XYZ." And I went, "Oh, okay, that's pretty interesting." I sent 3 emails and got 2 replies of, "Hey, yeah, I can do that." So I've connected the guy with those 2 people. Right? And I know the guys on the other side, if a deal happens, they'll look after them. If they don't, they know they'll never get referrals from me. So this is what you need to do, and what you need to it's just that slight change in, rather than trying to know everything, just know the right people to go to.
Yeah.
Like what?
But sorry, I'll just jump in here, Steve. So for the people who are in here, because I'm looking at some of the names, and obviously there's a few here that I know, like Christine is here again. So for the people who are still at the start of their journey and they don't really have that really massive network, please don't be afraid to reach out to Global Wealth Club. So the email address is support@globalwealthclub.com.au. So we can actually point you in the right direction of what sort of, like, who to talk to get access to these networks. Now, remember, a lot of these networks are built over years and years and years of engagements, interactions, stuff like that. So if you do reach out to Global Wealth Club for help, please don't be an asshole with things like this. Like, they're trying to help you. There's some things that you can and can't do. So just listen to them, understand it yourself, and just take it from there. But yeah, please definitely do. And what I might actually do, and I'm going to apologize about my keyboard because it is very loud. Supports our global, whoops, typo, wealthclub.com.au. Whoops, I just hit my microphone as well. In case you can't tell, I did get a new microphone. I haven't set it up properly yet. I have just put the email address for Global Wealth Club into the chat. So please grab it off there, send the emails through. You'll get someone from the team and you'll get referred to wherever you need to be to deal with whatever issue you may have. And if you do have questions on the Zoom, on my side, because I'm on the right-hand side of the screen, it is about there. There's a thing that says Q&A. Click on that. You can actually ask your questions, and if it's something that's not of a personal nature, we'll try to answer it on air. If it's personal, we'll send you a message saying to reach out to the team, and they'll do it from there. So excellent. Now, the other one they wanted us to talk about, Steve, and this actually makes sense because I know Virgil is I think he's the founder of Silver Bullion based out of Singapore. How important is it to actually look at gold and silver to secure your wealth, especially if you're looking to transfer from, let's say, an Australian-based business to a international-based business? How important is gold and silver and other precious resources, precious metals?
Yeah. Okay. So there's quite a bit in that. So first things first, we'll touch on why gold and silver is I believe, and Warren and the rest of the team, and pretty much everyone that I interact with in the world believe that gold and silver is a good part of the portfolio, and we're talking about a diversified portfolio here. Is it's more of an insurance policy, right? You're not going to get rich on gold and silver. You're going to get a nice hedge against some stupid inflation. We are seeing gold and silver on the rise now, but they tend just to sort of bubble along, go up, go down, bubble along. And I put gold and silver in any portfolio as an insurance policy. If the world goes to shit tomorrow and nuclear war happens, you've got no access to any major store of wealth because it's all digital and it's been wiped out. Gold and silver in a vault in a third-party jurisdiction is somewhere where you can go. You can access it because you'll have the rights to go to it. I carry gold and silver in my travel wallet because I've been caught in places where all the, like the New York blackouts that happened, 2005, I think it was, and you couldn't pay for hotel rooms and you couldn't pay for fuel. I had gold coins and found a jeweler, and the jeweler looked at them and went, "I'll give you this." Fair enough. It was like half what the current rate was, but I managed to get cash. And then with cash, I was able to, hire a car, get fuel, and get the fuck out of the northeast of the US. And that's what gold and silver is about. So you've got gold and silver in a large scale or larger scale, at scale that you hold in a private vault and never in a bank vault. We're talking in private run bullion traders and bullion vaults, and then small gold and silver coins. I'm a coin person, right? I only look at bars and stuff if it's going to be stored in a place like Virgil's silver bullion or the Reserve in Singapore. But if I'm traveling, I carry gold and silver coins, and the easiest place to get them is from pawn shops. Right? You can go to cash converters or any of those sort of pawn dealers, and you'll be able to find gold and silver coins. Most of them have. Now, here's a tip for you. If you're in a foreign city that you don't know where there's a pawn dealer can be notified by 3 balls in a U shape. So think of a trident with 3 balls on it, but hanging that way. And so that's the international symbol for a pawn dealer or a second-hand merchant that lends money against items.
I was going to make a really bad comment then, but I won't. So I'll be serious. So personally, I love cash. So I know there used to be a now they're not an affiliate, so please don't run there saying, "Oh, we referred them." We can't do that. So Swan Billion in Gosnells, up to 6 months ago, they were still accepting cash and weren't asking for your identity when you were buying silver coins and gold coins. So when we went to the Perth Mint to buy some, they wanted to know my underwear size, my driver's license numbers, my social security numbers, and all that sort of stuff. And I was just like, yeah, nah. So we ended up going to Swan Bullion instead. So that's in Gosnells. So if you want to have a look, we do have a question come through. Like with gold and silver, obviously it's gold and silver, but what about diamond? So that's Tony's asking about that one. Steve, you're there.
If you know what you're doing.
Yep.
It all comes down to if you. Yeah, I'm here.
Yep. Okay. Sorry, a bit of a lag there.
Yeah, you're freezing, so it's your end. You there?
Yeah, I'm still here, Steve. You go.
You're frozen. Yeah. So if you know what you're doing with diamonds, yeah, you can do it. If you don't, diamonds and gems, 100%, it's all possible. But you've got to know what you're doing. Gold and silver is a lot easier because you can pretty much get it tested really easy. A lot of the diamonds and rubies and sapphires and all that sort of stuff, there's so much fake shit out there on the market that unless you really know what you're doing, you can get into it. The other problem with gemstones is that they can be hard to deal, right? So it can be hard to find someone in an emergency situation who will accept them. I know of people that have managed to pay a whole heap of stuff from being able to use gold and silver coins because people know what the value of a 1 ounce coin is. It's pretty easy. You can go on and say, oh, well, that's $1,200, and then away we go.
Yep. We do have some other questions coming through in the chat, so please just chuck them into the questions so we can make sure that we don't get them lost. I don't know if you can answer this one, but they're asking, can you say roughly how much gold, silver you carry when you travel? I'm not sure if you want to answer that one, Steve.
So with gold, I travel with several half ounce and quarter ounce coins, which are normally, I think their denomination is, I think it's 50 cents and that, and just 1 ounce $5 silver coins.
Mm-hmm. And also the question is, and do you get asked questions about it at a customs or border, etc.? So
no.
I know I used to do,
because all up it's $10,000.
Yep.
If you're not carrying any more than $10,000, you don't have to declare.
Yep.
And the thing with coins, it's face value of the coin.
So I used to do airport security. This is going back about 15 years now. We used to get gold jewelers, gold dealers, like the jewelry dealers come through all the time. And on the x-ray machines, it just comes up as a big, massive blob of black. You just say, look, I just need to make sure there's no weapons or anything in it. You take them into a private room, they open up, they look, they close it off they go. Most airports at the time, and this was close to September 11. So most airports actually had a standing order that with people like jewelry dealers, people carrying gold on them, you do not kick up a stink. You do not make an issue of it. You just check it out, let them go, do as little as possible, because by actually kicking up a stink and actually questioning them and all that sort of stuff, you're actually putting a target onto them. And a lot of the people who are actually dealing with that are very, very well connected. So it's a standard practice at the airport. Just don't hassle them. Just let them go. So we still have to check to make sure they haven't got weapons in there, but it's just generally just let them go. So.
Yeah, domestically, you can carry as much as you want.
That was international.
Internationally, yeah. And international, and most of the dealers have the dealers' cards and stuff with them. So they're declaring and all that. So.
Let's see. If you buy gold or silver coins from a pawnbroker, how can you be reassured that it isn't fake? That's actually a really good question. So thanks for that, Madeline.
Yeah, so you get used to it. Now, if they're what do you call it? A reputable dealer and that sort of stuff, they won't deal in fakes, right? Because they will lose their membership and they'll lose their insurance and all that sort of stuff. If you're buying it off the street and you don't know, they're not part of the guild and all that sort of stuff. That's what I mean. If you've got the guys with the balls, they're normally members of the guild. So they've got 3 big balls. So they're normally, what do you call it? They're normally licensed, they're normally regulated and all that sort of stuff. And they just don't want to, deal in shit. The other thing is to buy jewelry, gold, silver jewelry, and then go and get it minted. You can do that and create your own little 1 ounce, 3 ounce, but you've got to get it stamped right, so people will do it. There is a couple of tests that you can do. I don't normally do it, but I found over the years, God, the amount of gold and that I've bought, Jesus, since I was 18, traveling around the world. I don't think I've ever had a fake one yet. I've had one that's 22 carat, not 24 carat, but that was purely and simply because I didn't know that some coins in the world are 22 carat, not 24. So they're 0.995, not 0.999. Like the Cougarand is 22 carat. It's not 24. It's not 999. And some of the I think some of the Eastern European ones, from memory, Turkey also has a 22 carat gold. But what you get to know the colors, right? The color can it can be really silverish if it's a lower grade versus that gold color, and things like that. But yeah, normally I'll say this as well. What I've always found is those that are so scared about being ripped off will be ripped off.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to find that logo to show people for the 3 Tritons upside down. So maybe we can get the team to send out an email just to show people what that logo actually does look like. So if Belle's still online, if not, I'll send her a message to get it sorted. Let's have a look here. We've got some other questions here. Can you talk about the benefits and downfalls of unallocated? I'm not sure what he meant by unallocated. Steve, do you know what they mean?
Well, the only way you get unallocated is if you're not actually buying gold and silver, you're buying certificates, like the Perth Mint certificate program. That's unallocated. I'd never touch it. If you're touching unallocated, you're a dickhead. Okay. You want allocated to your store, to your box, in your name.
And I think my internet's gone to shit, so hopefully you guys are hearing this. Also, can you recommend companies for gold and silver investing and storing?
So the ones that we use, in Singapore are Silver Bullion as a dealer, J. Rothbard as a dealer. There's a couple of dealers in Dubai as well, but one of the places we recommend is the Reserve to store your stuff, or the storehouse in Singapore. In Australia, there's a couple of private vaults around. There's one here on the Gold Coast. There's one in Sydney. We don't have a lot of relationships with those. There's one in Redcliffe as well. We've had some clients use those. Here in Australia, a lot of the private vaults will also be dealers, but a lot of the gold and silver dealers around can. I don't mind the Perth Mint, but as long as you're taking delivery and then storing it. I bought some silver coins off them the other day because I was short of some, and just had them, FedEx to me, and now I've got some more. So that's that. They're okay. As I said, that if you're looking around, and the reason I like places like the storehouse and stuff in Singapore, and there is Amatel, as well, which is one of the big storage guys around, is we've got a relationship. So over the years, we've actually built a relationship, and we've been to see their facilities, and I've walked around the facilities, and I've seen my box with my gold in it and that sort of stuff, and I've seen other clients' boxes there as well. So I've physically seen where it's stored and how it's looked after. and they check it. They've got a procedure to check it. So if you buy from a third party, they've got a process that where they check it with their little laser hoopty and all that.
Okay. I think it's gold and silver is getting to the point where it's really easy to catch people out. Even the Western Australian government got caught out when they were trying to do the shifty with China. So there has been, personally, I think gold and silver is actually relatively safe. But yeah. So Tony has asked about white gold. Now, my understanding, white gold is just standard gold that's been plated with platinum, but I'm not sure. So I'll let you answer this one, Steve.
So there's about 10 different types of gold. There's white gold, rose gold, platinum gold, dark yellow, light yellow, say 24 karat, 18 karat, 6 karat, 9 karat. And it's all to do with the alloy, right? So a 24 karat gold that's 0.999 is the purest form of gold. And then it goes down from there depending on how much silver or platinum or copper. Like rose gold has got copper in it. That's why it's got that rosy color. And I think it might even have nickel in it and stuff like that. But it all comes down, and not being a goldsmith and that, I'm not sure of the exact compositions, but it all comes down to the different, what do you call it? Alloys, the different mixes of all the different metals in to make it, but they still call it now white gold, but it's nearly, silver, platinum, and nickel or something.
Okay. So would you say white gold is actually, because I know when I was looking for the one's engagement ring, the white gold rings were actually more expensive than the standard gold rings. So if you're looking for an asset as an investment base, would standard gold be better than like just to store your wealth, to protect your wealth? Would a standard gold be better than these other alloyed golds, like the rose gold, platinum gold, and all that?
Only ever invest in bullion grade.
Yep.
And bullion grade is 0.999999%.
Okay.
Right. Where the Chinese got caught by, or WA got caught with the Chinese standard is 22 karat, 0.995. Right. It was the WA government's fault because they didn't understand the difference between 0.999 and 0.995. So the Chinese didn't do anything. They just shipped their standard gold, which is 0.995. Right. So this is what you've got to be careful of. That's why you need to know the difference. Like I've been done buying Cougarans because they're 0.995. They're not 0.999. Right. So you need to know what you're buying. And that's why you need to be buying bullion grade. And you got to know what bullion grade from different countries is. And know the mints, like the Swiss mints and like Perth mint and so forth.
Is it always better to use government-based mints rather than just like the private ones, or especially when it comes to international? Or does it matter?
It doesn't really matter. Australia's got a couple of private mints, normally used by the gold mining community. The Perth mint is sort of like, it's our mint, it's where our coins are made and all that sort of stuff. And funnily enough, they make coins for a fair few other countries as well. But most of around the world, the Swiss mints are nearly all private. A lot of the mints in the UK and Canada are private, and they're just producing coins for on behalf of the American Eagles and all that sort of stuff. Some of them are appointed to be done in private mints. So.
Another one, my neighbor is a massive into gold coins. He thinks they did the greatest thing since sliced bread, but he always goes for what's called the commemorative coins, or the artsy coins. The Chinese New Year coin, let's celebrate this coin, let's celebrate that coin.
Yeah.
Instead of just going for the standard everyday coins.
So that's good numeristics. Right,
yeah.
and that numeristics is actually the art of collecting coins. And I'm not a numerist. I don't like that sort of stuff, so I'd never touch it. If I'm going to do it, I just want bullion grade 0.99 .999, and it's always stamped, whether it's on a bar or a coin. I don't have a coin handy. Where it'll be in my.
I'm a little bit concerned. I'm a little bit concerned. You're like, oh, where did I leave that gold coin again?
Well, normally I've got some in my briefcase, but I know I don't, because I've taken them out, and I think they're in my my safe, so my private safe,
Yep.
which is not at home. It's somewhere else.
In a safe location.
In a safe location.
On that absolute terrible dad joke. So I was really happy with that one. Just because we're getting close to time, are there any other nuggets of wisdom? Get it? Gold nuggets of wisdom. Or anything else? I'm really on fire tonight with these. Are there any other like tips or nuggets of wisdom or things to watch out for, especially when it comes to international investment, moving yourself offshore, protecting your wealth, or in regards to gold, silver, or any strategies that you might think of that might be really important? Now, I am noticing that we are actually getting a few newer people in the chat, so this is really awesome.
Cool. So one of the big things whenever you're doing anything, make sure it's to suit you, right? And you're not doing it. The worst thing you can do is just do something for a tax reason. That's the worst reason to do it. If you're just doing it for tax, you're not going to get the right outcome. You're going to get yourself in trouble at some point in time because your intent is wrong, right? So everything about asset protection and wealth generation is all about your intent, your why. Why are you doing this for the end? That's all it's about, right? The other thing is there's a Mike Maloney on YouTube. There's a thing. There's a series by Mike Maloney called, I think it's The Secrets of Money. It's a 10-part series that was put out. I reckon he did it about 6-7 years ago.
There's Hidden Secrets of Money.
Hidden Secrets of Money. That's it. It is really good, and that just gives you a great overview. And he's done some recent updates as well, and it gives you a whole understanding of what do you call it? The monetary system and gold and silver and how it's been used in history. Because gold and silver is the oldest form of money, right? It's and when I say the oldest form, it's the oldest form that's still around today, right? We stopped using shells, we stopped using rocks, we stopped using animals for barter and all that sort of stuff years ago. But gold and silver has always been around, and gold and silver still get used today in commercial trade. So so ships for paying for fuel and port stuff sometimes pay in gold. Like they take it out of their safe on board and pay their port fees and stuff in gold, because they mightn't have, they might be in bumfuck Africa and don't have that local currency or don't have any way of transferring money there.
Yep. It's a little bit of an interesting one, bit of a side topic on this one, and I don't know if we'll have to do an individual series on this one or if something we can just quickly slide in the next 8 minutes. So Gina has asked can you say something about investing in AI, artificial intelligence? What's your thoughts? You got anything on that one, or you reckon a new whole series on its own?
Yeah, because really you're not investing in the AI. So it comes down to two things. You're investing in AI for yourself or for business or something like that, or you're investing into AI as a pure play. So if you're investing into AI, I'd be looking for the big companies that are rolling out AI, or the medium-sized companies that are rolling out AI with the track record of already something in the digital space. For instance, Adobe's just rolled out a whole new suite of AI tools.
Yep.
Right. So that's the type of thing.
So I'm thinking what with that one, the way we probably tackle this one, and I'd love your thoughts on this one, because you got investing into AI companies that are developing, building like ChatGPT, Adobe, like you said, companies that are doing like security around AI. There's a few companies out there that are developing. I don't know if Norton is doing it, but where AI systems are trying to hack your systems, they're doing the security around it, cloud-based security, stuff like that as well. But then there's also using AI to do the investing for you, like using our AI algorithms to find good trades on the options and things like that as well. So I'm thinking we probably should put that one into a segment on its own, because I think it's a lot bigger.
It's a huge.
It's a game changer, absolute game changer. So
it's a huge thing. And
yeah.
and look, a lot of the programs that people are calling AI aren't. Like, there's a lot of guys that they're claiming that their stock trading program is AI. All it is a mathematical formula.
Hmm.
That's all it is. On the planet, as of today, from what I understand, as true artificial intelligence models, and I'm not talking about just a language model, I'm talking about a self-learning, self-propelling model, there's only a handful of them. There's probably, well, there's Big Blue, which is the IBM one. China has one. Russia's got one. There's a few universities in Europe say they've got one, but I would say there's probably 5 true AI models that are actually operating as a self-learning, multi-faceted organism, right? So where OpenAI, Bing AI, pretty much 90% of all the AI out there is actually just a language model. And language models have been around since the beginning of computers, right? So you've got to understand what AI really is. And like face recognition and all that is not AI. That's a graphical learning model. So it's a graphical language model. That's all it is. It's not true AI. So 99% of all the shit out there where people are talking about AI, it's just crap. It's just they're just AI washing or digital washing, right? Because of full AI models, like the ones that are going to take over the world and make the robots rise, there's probably only a handful on the planet, because they're super. Like, you need quantum computers to make them work.
Oh, I can't wait for quantum computers. I think that's going to be another game changer.
IBM's Big Blue is probably the most advanced quantum computer on the planet that I know of. There's probably 10 others out there in different labs, but that are actually working and being used in a commercial sense. The IBM one is pretty much, I think it's a collaboration between IBM, HP, and Oracle. But this thing's beautiful. You know, it processes randomly, it processes analytically, analog, multi. And it switches process modes to get the right outcome, even while it's processing.
Yep. So for people who don't understand what a quantum computer is, mainly around the processor that needs to be improved. So a standard processor, like my computer on the desk here, is for each processor, it can do one thing. So it's effectively reading one book at a time. With a quantum computer, it's effectively reading the entire library at the same time. So it's just chalk and cheese. You cannot compare any of the current computer systems to a quantum computer. It's just, again, that's another, it's like killing the typewriter all over again. So standard PC computers will not exist. Your phone will be out of this world. It's just going to be super exciting. So we do only have a couple of minutes. So final thoughts, and then I think we wrap up after that, Steve.
Yeah, cool. Look, I would say with asset protection and anything like that, know what your intent is and know why you're doing it, right? before you go overseas and all that sort of stuff, make sure that you sort of understand again why you're doing it. Right. Have sort of a bit of an end in mind, then evaluate where you are and work out what you need to get there. The other thing is, one of the things I say all the time is start today.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But some of the things over my life that I've always looked back on going, fuck, if I had started that then, the compounding effect would have been huge. Right. And it all comes down to compounding effect. You know, now I know why my parents did certain things from straight away, because it's about the compounding effect.
Yep. So I'm going to leave you with a saying my grandfather used to say to me all the time: if the dog hadn't stopped to do its shit, it would have caught the rabbit. And there's no point in crying about spilt milk. So start today, get yourself sorted, know where you are, where you want to go, and make a plan for the future. And if you need help, reach out.
100%.
All right. I think that's a great note to finish on. So this has been Global Wealth Club. Oh, by the way, I don't know if we told you yet or not. These have been getting rebroadcasted onto Edge Radio Australia. So if people want to listen to the replays, I got to remember what days. I think they get replayed on either a Saturday or a Sunday. Because obviously we put them out on the GWC networks first. For the people who don't know, I'm actually a co-owner of Edge Radio Australia. So you can get that app. I don't get in trouble with this with Warren, but I don't care. Androids, there's an app for it to listen to it, Edge Radio Australia. Or you go to the website, edgeradioaustralia.com.au. And everyone, thanks for tuning in, listening through. Again, if you do have any questions for Warren, the team, Steve, send a support out globalwealthclub.org. I got told off for giving the wrong email address. So it's in the chat if you need it.
Cool.
All right. Thanks for that, Steve. And we'll see you same bat time, same bat place, or maybe in a different room next week.
Yeah, I might do it from the office. But see, over here when it starts at 7:30, so I normally want to get home.
Oh, no, do it from home. Just maybe like 1 week in the lounge room, 1 week in the kitchen, 1 week in the toilet. No, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, I might do it from the crapper next week.
I think that one might make the 10 most inappropriate comments. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you, ladies and gents, and we'll see you next week.